Do you remember the sound of the engine starting early in the morning? The feeling of turning the key, hearing the Ford engine roar in the morning mist, and then plowing and pulling all day without a single problem? In today's video, we will go back to the golden age, looking back at the 5 most reliable tractors that Ford ever made, machines that not only worked, but lived with American farmers throughout their lives. Ford 5000. If there is one tractor that has carried a season, a family, a generation, it is the Ford 5000. Born in 1964, this machine was not made for show. It was made to work. Day after day, in the scorching sun or the mud, in the early morning crowing or under the cold moon of a harvest afternoon, the Ford 5000 still started, still pulled, still plowed, still ran. It was a symbol of reliability, of the toughness of the American farmer. When Ford launched the 5000, they didn't just create a bigger model, they created a real workhorse. This tractor had a 233 cubic inch, 4-cylinder diesel engine that produced up to 55 horsepower at PTO. With that power, it can not only pull 3 rows of plows like its younger brother Ford 4000, but can also operate heavier equipment, straw balers, deep cultivators, industrial fertilizer spreaders. Those who work on large farms in Texas, Nebraska, or Iowa all know the Ford 5000 is a tireless workhorse. The highlight of the Ford 5000 is the perfect combination of power and durability. It has a large chassis, large rear wheels, strong drive shafts, and a powerful hydraulic system. Many people still say that they have used their 5000 for more than 20 years without changing the spark plugs, changing the oil, and still go to work every morning like it has never been old. There are many transmission options, from 8 standard speeds to 10 speeds with Selecto Speed. No matter which version you choose, the driver still feels in complete control of every movement. Light steering, responsive clutch, effective brakes, all make for a comfortable and safe drive, even when pulling heavy loads. Many an older farmer once said, "I like driving the 5000 better than any other machine. No straining. It does the hard work for me." One of the things that made the Ford 5000 so beloved was its ability to work without complaining. It didn't ask for much. No complicated electronics, no outdated sensors, just pure mechanics, simple, reliable, and honest. Those who grew up in that era understood, when you turn the key, it has to start. When you go into the field, it has to work. And the Ford 5000 did just that, no more, no less. I remember the first time I saw a blue 5000 in the middle of an Iowa corn farm in 1969. The farmer said, "I need a machine that doesn't give up." And he chose the Ford 5000. When I returned in 1991, it was still there, still plowing, still pulling, just with a few more paint chips and a thicker layer of dust. The Ford 5000 was more than just powerful. It was reliable, easy to fix, and durable. Parts were easy to find, the mechanics were straightforward, and most importantly, it never left you in doubt. When you depend on a machine to feed your family, you don't need flashy technology. You need reliability. And the Ford 5000 was the embodiment of that. Today, Ford 5000s can still be found working in the fields, and backyards, and at vintage tractor shows. They carry dirt, they carry history, and they carry memories of harvests long gone. Not because they're antiques, but because they still have real value. If there was one tractor that epitomized Ford reliability in the 20th century, it was the Ford 5000. And if you've ever driven one, you'll understand, it doesn't need to say anything, because its job is always to answer. Ford 8N. If you grew up in a small town, or had a father who was a farmer, you are probably familiar with the steady hum of the Ford 8N every morning. From 1947 to 1952, the little tractor became an indispensable companion for millions of American farmers. And to this day, more than 70 years later, it is still remembered as one of the most reliable tractors Ford ever produced. The Ford 8N was born in the context of America recovering from World War II. Agriculture needed modernity, but also simple, durable, easy-to-repair equipment. And Ford answered with the 8N. With a 4-cylinder gasoline engine, about 23 horsepower at the PTO shaft, and a completely new 4-speed transmission, the 8N was not the most powerful machine of its time, but it got the job done, and did it tirelessly. The 8N's rear axle width was easily adjustable, allowing it to handle a variety of crops. Ground clearance was just enough to get through ridges without causing damage. The 2,600-pound curb weight made the 8N heavy enough to pull, but light enough to handle wet fields. And most memorable was the 3-point hydraulic system that Ford had improved on the previous N model, a revolution in tractor control. But what made the 8N so beloved was more than features. It was its clever simplicity. The 6-volt electrical system, easy-to-adjust carburetor, and easy-to-open construction, all of which made it possible for a farmer with a basic set of tools to fix his tractor. In the years when service was scarce, that meant a living. Many people still have their father's 8N. Some still run well on farms in Missouri, Texas, and Pennsylvania. Some people even say they never changed the engine, just changed the oil, changed the spark plugs, and it just kept going. That's something you don't find in many modern tractors, the loyalty of a machine that works its entire life without asking for much. One thing that makes the Ford 8N so iconic is its ubiquity. It's the best-selling tractor in American history, with over 500,000 produced in just 5 years. It's not just in the fields, but in family photos, dinner table conversations, and the hearts of generations. You can remember the first time you drove an 8N, the big steering wheel in your hands, the steady hum of the engine, and the smell of freshly cut grass. That feeling, for many, is youth. And that's what makes the Ford 8N more than just a tractor. It's part of rural America's memory. Today, if you come across a Ford 8N in good condition, don't be surprised. Because what Ford put into this machine was more than just steel, it was a spirit of hard work, reliability, and dependability. For many, it wasn't just their first tractor. It was the best one they'd ever owned. Ford 4000. There are tractors that are meant to work. Not for display, not for a few laps and then put away. But for pulling, for plowing, for standing in the field in the rain, in the snow, in the harvest or the sowing season. And among them, the Ford 4000 is a name worth remembering. Not flashy, but one of the most reliable machines Ford ever made. The Ford 4000 debuted in 1962 as part of the 1000 series and quickly became a popular mid-range choice across America. With its sturdy design, moderate size, and powerful engine, the 4000 was Ford's answer to farmers who needed a tractor larger than the Ford 3000, but not too cumbersome. In the post-1965 version, the Ford 4000 had a 201 cubic inch, 3-cylinder diesel engine that produced about 52 horsepower at the PTO. That was no small number at the time, enough to pull a 3-row plow, operate a baler, or work with heavy equipment like a hay baler or an industrial tiller. Other tractors might be larger, but few were as reliable and steady as the Ford 4000. Another big plus for the 4000 was its versatile transmission system. You could choose from a simple 4-speed, or an 8-speed with synchromesh, even a Selecto speed for those who liked smooth control. Add a 2-speed clutch and a powerful hydraulic system, and this machine not only pulled well, but also handled easily and precisely. Older people often said, "You don't have to struggle with a Ford 4000. Just know the job, and it will do it for you." In terms of durability, the Ford 4000 was a farm tank. Its rugged construction, reinforced front axle and transmission, and sturdy rear axle all suggested that this machine was built to last. And it proved so. Many 4000s are still running today, more than 50 years later, many of which have never been turned on for a major overhaul, just changed the oil, changed the air filter, and kept working. I met a family in southern Illinois whose Ford 4000 had served 3 generations. They used it to plow corn, fertilize, pull trailers, and clear snow in the winter. I bought it in 1970, the grandfather said, and it never left me standing in the middle of a field. To farmers, that was more valuable than any advertising. The Ford 4000 also had a personality that drivers loved. It was honest. When you turned the key, it started. When you let go, it slowed down. No surprises, no gimmicks, just a machine that knows what you want and is willing to do it with all its might. Plus, it's easy to repair. Parts are common, the design is simple, the instructions are clear, meaning if something breaks, you can fix it yourself. For those who grew up in a time when there was no repair shop nearby, that's a big plus. Today, the Ford 4000 still appears at vintage tractor shows and is still bought and sold by hobbyists. But for many, the old 4000 is more than a machine. It's a symbol of durability, of a proud, simple farming era. If you ask a farmer from a previous generation what the most reliable tractor Ford ever made was, don't be surprised if he smiles and says, the Ford 4000, without a doubt. Ford 3000. In the 1960s, as America was transitioning into a new era, the farmland still needed tractors that would work hard, without complaining, without being fussy. And it was at that time that the Ford 3000 was born, as a quiet but prestigious answer. Not too loud, not too flashy, but over time, it proved its place as one of the most reliable tractors Ford ever built. The Ford 3000 was introduced in 1965 as part of the new generation 1000 series. With a 3-cylinder gasoline or diesel engine, with about 38 horsepower at PTO, this machine offered the perfect balance of size, power, and efficiency. Powerful enough to plow deep into heavy clay, but still compact enough to maneuver in small pastures or orchards. That's why it quickly became a favorite from the Northeast to the Midwest. Transmission options included 4-speed, 6-speed, 8-speed, and even a 10-speed with Selecto-speed for those who wanted more flexibility. Whichever one you chose, the 3000 always felt precise, smooth, and reliable in every situation. The 3-point hydraulic system was strong, the pump durable, and the operation was like a heartbeat. That's what farmers needed, and the Ford 3000 delivered beyond expectations. Most notable was the Ford 3000's incredible reliability. Many went well past 50 years of service with only routine maintenance. The diesel engine was notoriously hard to kill, running smoothly even after thousands of hours of use. And with a simple chassis design, everything was easily accessible, from the clutch to the brakes to the electrical system. Men who repair tractors in old barns in Kansas or Ohio all say the same thing: the 3000 doesn't give you a hard time. There are many stories to be told, of fathers handing down their Ford 3000s to their sons, of using them to pull log trailers in cold Vermont winters, or to run water pumps to save cornfields during droughts in Texas. This machine is not just a piece of equipment, it's a part of life, a responsibility, a tradition. Another thing that sets the Ford 3000 apart is its versatility. You can attach a tiller, a mower, a manure spreader, or even a commercial lawn tractor. With a powerful PTO and a sturdy frame, it handles any job you throw at it, from light to heavy, with one attitude: leave it to me. I once interviewed a farmer in Iowa who had been using the same Ford 3000 since 1968. I tried to switch to something new, something with more technology, he said. But I eventually came back to my old 3000. Because it started every morning, no questions asked. And that's all a farmer needs. Today, many Ford 3000s are still running well, meticulously cared for as family heirlooms. On vintage tractor forums, the Ford 3000 is always talked about with special respect, as a machine that keeps its promises, as a companion that never turns away. With the Ford 3000, you don't need fancy features. You need a powerful engine, a solid frame, and a machine that will work day in and day out, year in and year out, without complaint. And that's exactly what Ford created. Ford 2000. When talking about the most reliable tractors Ford has ever produced, it would be remiss to leave out the Ford 2000. Introduced in the early 1960s, this machine was not flashy, not loud, but durable, hardworking, and always there when the farmer needed it most. That is what makes the Ford 2000 live in the memories of many generations. The Ford 2000 was first introduced in 1962 as part of Ford's 1000 series tractor line, a step forward in engineering and design. But with all those changes, Ford still kept the core, a simple, easy-to-repair, reliable machine, suitable for any farm. The 2000 came with a 3-cylinder gasoline or diesel engine, with power ranging from 33 to 36 horsepower at PTO. It wasn't a beast in the field, but it was a tough workhorse. It could pull a double-row plow, run a lawn mower, or run all day without complaining. With a 4- or 6-speed transmission, or even an 8-speed in later models, drivers had a choice for every type of soil and job. One of the things that made the Ford 2000 so reliable over time was its versatility. Whether you were a small farmer in Kentucky or a vegetable farmer in California, the 2000 had you covered. It was compact, weighing only about 3,500 pounds, but powerful enough to work year-round. Add to that the simplicity of the design, no complicated electronics, no modern gadgets that could break down, just pure, precise, honest mechanics. Many who drove a Ford 2000 reported that they rarely needed major repairs. A few spark plug changes, regular oil changes, and it just kept going, year after year. Some of them are still working every day, proving the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I remember the first time I saw a Ford 2000 in rural Iowa, around 1968. An older farmer told me, I bought it because I was tired of fixing it. This one's worry-free. And he was right. 10 years later, he was still using it to plant corn, till the soil, and pull a log trailer, and he never thought about switching to something else. Another thing that makes the Ford 2000 special is the community of people who love and preserve it. There are even vintage tractor clubs dedicated to the 2000. People collect, restore, and share real-life stories about it. The machine transcended the boundaries of a work tool to become part of American agricultural history. You may have seen a Ford 2000 in someone's backyard, a little rusted but still standing proud. Or you may have sat behind the wheel of one as a young boy helping your dad plow the fields during the summer. Either way, you'll agree that the Ford 2000 is one of the most reliable tractors Ford has ever built. Not because it was the biggest or most powerful, but because it got the job done every day. In a world of tractors that's increasingly complex and expensive, the Ford 2000 is a simple reminder, sometimes simplicity and loyalty are the best things. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are still listening to this moment, you have probably been through the harvest season like me. You have also stood in the middle of a windswept field, your back soaked with sweat, and next to you is a blue tractor, hardworking, durable, and never complaining. From the humble Ford 8N to the mighty Ford 5000, each machine on today's list is not just a tool, it is a companion. These machines have helped millions of families build farms, feed their children, and preserve a pure American way of life, where hard work is honored and trust is everything. Tractors will age, paint will fade, but the value they leave behind will never be lost. They teach us about perseverance, sincerity, and how to live fully in our work each day. If you have owned, driven, or simply watched one of these Ford machines drive across the countryside, please join me in cherishing them as part of the best memories of honest, simple farming days. Thank you for watching. If this video brings back old memories, please leave a comment, share a story, or simply click like to let me know that old tractors still have a place in the hearts of Americans. See you in the next video, where we will continue our journey to look back at America's most glorious agricultural icons. And as always, I wish you a peaceful day and a prosperous harvest.